Alright, so today we're going to draw a manta ray. Now they have really amazing shapes, so we're going to draw one sort of from the top view, and we're going to use the Symmetry Tool. So my canvas right now is 3000 by 3000. You can use any size that you feel comfortable with. I just like to use a square because usually a lot of my art goes to Instagram. So my canvas is 3000 by 3000, 300 dpi. So to use the Symmetry Tool, you want to tap the wrench, then you want to go to Drawing Guide, and I have Symmetry already picked, but you can go to Edit Drawing Guide, and then you have these options, and you would just go to Symmetry. And you can play with these toggles just to make it a little bit easier to see or less easy to see, whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, so now you'll see this layer has assisted here. So that means that once you choose your brush and draw, everything will be the exact opposite. Everything will be mirrored. Okay, so one thing to note is they kind of have a wide wingspan, and they also have a long tail. So try to start out a little bit smaller, just so you have a lot of room for the left, the right, and the bottom. Maybe I want to use monoline. Everyone loves monoline, so maybe I'll try monoline. Calligraphy? Monoline. Let's see. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, so we're going to start with a slightly curved line here. And the reason why I go across a little bit to the other side of the line is just because I want this to be straight. I don't want it to be, you don't want it to be like that. You want to make sure that the line is completely straight. So you just want your straight line here like this. Now, once you have this first line, just concentrate on one side. You don't have to concentrate on this side. Just forget it's there. Just concentrate on one side because everything is going to be mirrored anyway. So now we'll just round off this like so. And then we're going to make a big loop down like that. And if you have any problems, just double tap. It doesn't have to be exactly straight down. It doesn't have to be super perfect, but just do these general shapes. Okay, so for here, we're going to make a line coming off, and we're going to loop around and then make it a little wider at the bottom. That looks pretty good. So this would be his eyes right here. So we're going to start right under that, and then we're going to make a arc out almost to the side of the page. So we want it to come a little bit straight out. So we don't want it to be too curved down. So I'm going to go out a little bit to here. I'm going to bring it down. That looks pretty good. So now I'm going to curve around, go up, and then go back down. I'm going to make a little arc at the bottom. You might have to try that a couple times. And just so you can see that little moment again, I just bring a little arc here, and then another little arc, or line, going straight to our center line. So now we're just going to make his tail, so we're just going to do two lines straight down. Well, just one line because it's mirrored. I'm going to hold it because I think I want it to be, that's a little too thick, so I'm going to make it a little smaller. So I'm going to do it without the snaps. Sometimes you just have to do it without the assist. I think that looks pretty good. So now we have a nice manta ray shape. I love the shape of this. I just think it's so majestic and beautiful. Alright, so now let's fill our shape here. So now we have a nice silhouette, and I'm going to turn it black. So you can either drag the color in, or you can do hue saturation and just set it to black. And then you should have a nice manta ray silhouette. Okay, so let's see what color scheme he is. Oh, such beautiful colors. Look at that. Okay. That's really nice. Okay. So what I'm seeing here in the reference, the only thing that's a little bit different is I can actually make this a little bit sharper. I'm just going to take the eraser and just sort of, I think that looks nice. And let's change the background color to something a little more fitting. I think that looks nice. Okay, so we're going to alpha lock our manta ray, and then we can play around with some different types of colorations. So the first thing is we want the inside of this to be white. So I'm going to start here, I'm going to come off like that, and then I'm just going to color that in. Another variation of this is you could also do it where you don't have the colors meet. And it's important to try different ways and see which one you like better. I think I like this better. And it's also great to just find your own references. Find different references because a lot of them have different colorations. Okay, so this is really nice. So it sort of looks like white comes off here and then goes down to the back. And something like that. Let's see what that looks like. Let's see if I can fill it without it giving me those lines. There we go. I just had to bring that threshold up. So I think I might want to make this a little bit more simple. So now I'm going to just color pick the black, and I'm going to make this completely straight. And I'm also just going to make this clean as well. I'll go back to white and maybe just experiment with some other colors up here. And here's, this is where you just can be really, really creative. And also look to see what other markings they might have. This one has some really nice markings on the tip of his wings. So let's try that. Oops, let me go back to white. And as much as I like to make markings and just do tutorials where I'm drawing and I know all the answers, it's my style to defer to nature, and defer to what these animals really look like. And they don't have to match exactly, but I really like to try to use the real thing as reference. Can do some fun shapes down here. Since he has two lines, and there's lots of shapes that you can just sort of experiment with. Whoops, let me go back to white. Lots of different really cool options. You can always just make up things too. You can do different colors, things like that. It's hard to go wrong with such a beautiful base, because it's such an amazing shape that it's hard to go wrong. I like that. Okay, so now I'm just going to get rid of the assisted. So I'm going to tap on the layer, and I'm going to tap drawing assist off. Then I'm going to go to the wrench. I'm going to turn off the drawing guide. So this way, it's no longer going to be mirrored. And it might be nice to just make a nice. I think that's a lot of nices. I'm going to duplicate. I'm going to take the bottom one off of alpha lock, because I never took it off from before. And then I'm just going to go to hue saturation layer. I'm going to make the bottom one black. And then I'm just going to drag it. I'm going to offset it. And then I'm going to go to Gaussian blur. Did I skip a step? I don't want to skip a step on you guys. So on this bottom layer, I'm just going to take the arrow, the selection tool, transform tool, selection tool, transform tool, the little arrow. And now I'm just sliding it off center, down and off center. And now I'll go to the wrench. Or I'll go to the magic wand, adjustments, Gaussian blur, layer, and I'll just blur this layer. And then I'm going to go to the layer, and I'm going to hit the little N so I can just lower its opacity. And you know what would be really cool? I'm going to make a layer underneath, and I'm going to take the layer of the background, and I'm just going to darken it and make it a little richer. And then I'm going to take the selection tool, rectangle. I'm going to make a rectangle on the bottom, fill that color, and then I'm going to Gaussian blur it. And I'm just going to see how that looks. That might be just a nice variation. Oh yeah, I love that. I think that looks nice. It might look cool if we do a different color up top. I kind of want to leave it because I like it, but let's experiment. So I'm going to make a layer above that. Same thing. I'm going to go to selection tool. Oops. Selection tool. It's still on rectangle. And I'll use an outlandish color because we can adjust it with the hue saturation later. That's why I did it on a different layer. So let's just take a wild color. Oops. Let's take yellow. And let's Gaussian blur that. Oops. You have to make sure that you deselect the rectangle to do the Gaussian blur. That actually looks nice as it is. That'd be a beautiful flag. Let me screenshot this, or save this as a JPEG. It's really nice. I'll duplicate it in case I want to go back to it. Okay, so now we're going to go to Adjustments, Gaussian Blur, Layer, and we're just going to blur that. I'm going to use the transform and just make it a little bigger. So I'm going to pull it down here. And now I'm going to go to Adjustments. Oh, you know what would be nice if I did green here? That would be kind of cool. You can change the color a little bit. So that's kind of a sandy look. It might be nice if I'm going to alpha lock this. I'm going to take a nice sort of aqua green. And I'm just going to use an airbrush. So let's see. I'm just going to use a very soft airbrush and just see how that kind of looks. That's kind of cool. I think I'll leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I did. It was pretty fun to draw this freehand. I practiced sketching it a couple times beforehand, but I think it came out pretty nice for the tutorial. Otherwise, I would just have to do the tutorial again if it didn't look right. But yeah, I would love to see what you guys do. If you do draw this, be sure to tag me in your Instagram posts or Facebook posts or anything. I'd love to see what you do. Let me know what you thought of this tutorial, and if you'd like to see other more simple animal drawings like this, because this one was a lot of fun, so hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did. I don't know why that sounds weird to say. But anyway, keep drawing, and I'll catch you in the next video.